Well, earlier, the State Capture Commission of Inquiry yesterday asked the Constitutional Court to hold Zuma in contempt and to enforce a penalty of 2 years in prison. Advocate Mukesh Vasin joins us now from Cape Town. Mr. Vasin, good afternoon to you. There are many legal winds swirling now around former President Jacob Zuma. The Zondo Commission of Inquiry asking for him to be jailed for 2 years for essentially being in contempt of the Constitutional Court's own order. If I read this right, they seem to be saying to the former president, either testify by the end of March or go to jail.
Correct. Good afternoon, Stephen. So what the Commission is currently asking is for the former president to be sentenced to 2 years, and that possibly the court may suspend the order and make the former president testify. These are, of course, not mutually exclusive. Because the contempt is, when the judicial authority is vested in the court, and it has been a flagrant disregard of the rules of court. So this is left to the discretion of the court. The court could, in fact, impose that. They could also impose a mandamus at the same time, compelling the president to comply in future. Both are not.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's quite a complicated picture because in this case, so in other words, the first time the Commission went to the Constitutional Court, Zuma, and it was his choice, I presume he was acting on legal advice, but it was his choice not to argue against the application. I am presuming that at this stage, when the Constitutional Court looks at the application brought by the Commission, that he would be allowed to argue now?
Correct, Stephen. So what would happen in a case of contempt, what the applicant, the Commission would have to do is to prove to the court that there is an order that was granted, which is quite clear. Secondly, that the order was served on Mr. Zuma. And thirdly, that there was non-compliance with that order. The fourth criteria is that Mr. Zuma has been willful in his defiance of the order, willful and mala fide. So what the Commission has to prove to the Constitutional Court are the first three criteria, basically the existence of the order was served on him, and that there was non-compliance. It then is up to Mr. Zuma to adduce evidence that he was not mala fide, and he has to prove that. So he has to create a reasonable doubt should he wish to escape that penalty.
There's so much going on here. We have, on the one side of it, we have the former president essentially publicly issuing a statement, defying the Constitutional Court, making claims without evidence about judges. On the other side, through an agreement with the High Court in Pietermaritzburg, his legal team was there representing him today. Now, where I'm going with this is, it would seem on the one side, and obviously this is a fluid situation, things can change, but it would seem on the one side, the former president is happy to comply with the judge's orders in the Pietermaritzburg High Court, but not with the Constitutional Court's orders in Braamfontein, in Joburg. Can the Commission, or can anyone say to the Constitutional Court, he must explain this difference in approach, why he will respect one judge but not the other judges?
It would be indeed a difficult question, a difficult answer, Stephen, because the Constitutional Court, as everybody knows, is our highest court of the land, and it exerts the moral authority, and it's the custodian of our constitutional values. And I think one would be very hard pressed to say that I answer to the Constitutional Court, I answer to the High Court and not the Constitutional Court. In fact, this has been the very trenchant criticism that has been leveled against the former president, to say that he tends to follow the rule of law as it suits him, and this is one of the submissions made by the Commission to the Constitutional Court, that Mr. Zuma follows the law when it suits him and doesn't when it doesn't suit him.
I mean, this is a huge legal, it's a political contest. It's a contest of sort of raw power in some ways, and you could argue it's been like this for the last 15 years. It would seem on the law that the former president is running out of options. In other words, he either complies or he doesn't. That's it.
This is indeed the end of the road, Stephen. And I think that, going to the Constitutional Court, there's obviously no appeal mechanism, and the orders of the decision would be final. So it is actually the end of the road, Stephen. I don't know how else to take that further, because that would be our highest court.
Advocate Mukesh Vasen, I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much indeed. Well, more developments, of course, in that story.